So, so again, reviewing this thing, you have some preview windows in the scope up in here. Okay, these are your four modes. The two that you're interested in is live production, where we are now, and edit text, which we will go to in a second. Then you have your preview display and your live output display. You have your transition stuff. Okay, this is the downstream keyer, and we'll talk about a little bit more about this in a second. Normally you'll do stuff in DDR mode because you'll need to play things. So, once the records stream's set up, the external you're not doing anything. Once the inputs have all been set up, and these are all SDI cameras right here, but we could connect other cameras, but these are digital cameras. Our signal path is digital all the way from the sensor and the camera out through the cable stuff. So we are digital, full digital signal path. Let's see, so coming background, color background, generally it'll be black, but you have other options. The text we're going to play with in a second, and the DDR recorder. And we have regular transport controls like on your DVD player or your VHS player from the dim past, that kind of thing. You have two of them. They'll play pictures. Here we have a picture. Here we have that still that we had before, or video that we had before. We can add more stuff to here. So let's see, we want, I got another video, so let's go grab this. Let's say we wanted to pull this one in. So we can just drag it right in, and then there's a video. We'll play DDR2, and now we can play it. And let's see, we're on DDR2, and I need to raise the...
And Jesus is the light of the world.
Okay. So this is the story of
Before each
Susie.
meal, Susie would thank Jesus for the food someone else bred, slaughtered, harvested.
Okay. So we can mix video in, we can, do that kind of stuff. So pretty much there's a little controls in here that say add, remove, clone it, so you can put it multiple times further down in your list if you want to do that. And if you had a playlist, you can load and save playlists. Generally, most people will only have a few things, and they'll use it only for one show. So playlists is something that doesn't get dealt with very often. Okay, so the last section on here that we haven't talked about is the audio mixer. And what you have is sliders. It looks like a regular audio mixer. And you should probably set them to about 0 dB. You can link them. Okay, what we have coming into the TriCaster from the mixer is 2 channels, and you can mute them, okay, which means there's no sound coming in, and you generally want to set them to about 0 dB level here. If you need to sneak it up, you got a little bit of range to sneak it up or down. But you want to get your mix on your microphone set ahead of time. So you're going to need to do a sound check on your people. Put the microphones on them, and then tell everybody else to shut up. Sometimes it takes 3 or 4 tries to get people to stop having a conversation. But that's what your voice of God is for. It's like, okay, Kathy, we're going to do our mic check, so I want you to tell me your life story. Just don't stop talking, okay? And everybody else be quiet, okay? Go ahead, tell me your story. And then you go over and you set the level so that what's coming in is about 0, okay? Just a little bit below 0, and you're good. And if you set it too high, you're going to clip your sound, and it's going to sound terrible. It's going to be edgy and distorted, and that is not good. If what you do is you set your level too low, then the noise in the system will be significant. In other words, you want to get your signal up there. If you don't, you're going to be listening to significant amounts of noise, because you'll probably boost it up when you do the final production out. We talked about converting the file upstairs. You can change the audio at that point if it's too low. But you want to get it in so it rides around about 0. Into the light blue, and
my sister was born.
she's not peeking up, we're not seeing any of the red,
1960.
so that's about a good level, okay?
That is,
Okay,
she was
so
an
that's good.
Okay.
Okay. So we're looking for the sound to be around in here. Now, during the program, sometimes people will, you want them to talk normally. Sometimes they get excited, they get a little bit louder. So what you have to do is just go over to the mixer and sneak their channel down a little bit. And it's the best you can do. Okay, so since we're not mixing here, we're mixing over on an external mixer. You're just getting a stereo signal that's coming. That's a mix of all the channels that are active at this point. Okay, so that's the audio thing. Pull down the channels you don't need. Okay, so that leaves us making titles. So the thing that we're going to do is we're going to go up into this edit text mode, and it should have, see, here's our project that we had left over from before. So let's just clone this one. Okay, so now we got 2 Pams. So we could take her and we could move her around. Okay, now there are some things to put her center vertically, to the left, to the right, all the way down, all the way up. Okay, so let's put her in the middle. We can change the size. Okay, just dragging that out and again center it. Now we can draw things on here. For example, I can draw some squares. I can draw some ovals. Okay, I can add more text. If I just click here, okay, I've added more text. It's basically a PC Paint kind of program. And anything that doesn't have an object on it is transparent. Okay, so this just sits on top of stuff. So what we can do from here is let's go and change the color. Okay, we can make that pink. Close. We can make this one. Clicking down on the color right here, text and drawing. Let's make that one green. Okay, so we can do that. We can put lines onto it, and you can move stuff around. It's pretty straightforward. If we want to change the font, we can go and select all of that. The first one's not selected, so let's say that we want to make it smaller. Okay, or we want to change. We can unlock the aspect ratio and change it, and then we can go to here and grab those together and move them down. Okay, so there's 2 modes: moving stuff around mode and adding text mode. Okay. Now, from the view, we can put guides. We can turn the guides off, or a safe area. Okay. We can snap. We got some things. Text and drawing. Now let's we played a little bit with color. Or we can bold it. We can italics it. We can underline it in a standard manner. Okay. Now we can add edges. So we got a square edge, and let's make it a little bit bigger. Okay. And let's see, now if we come off of here, it's actually got some black around the edge, but it's got a black background, so we won't really see it. Let's change the color on that to green, and close. And now if we've got an edge, we should be able to, let's put Pam, let's do Pam. Okay. So we got Pam, and we want to do a square edge and make it bigger. There we go. So close, and we've just played with that. We can do drop shadows. We can do that kind of thing. There's also ways in here to animate, so you can do crawls, either horizontal or vertical, or move the text around. In other words, you can keyframe a starting position and an ending position and give it some motion. Most people don't do that. That's something I'll let you explore on your own. There is a manual sitting up on top of that computer right up there for this thing, the TriCaster. There's also a PDF version of this if you want to learn some more stuff about it. Those people who actually read the manual will do a better job. Okay, but we can create more of these. They're easy to do generally during the class. What I'll do is let everybody get on here and create, one of these things. But for here, it's enough. Now, what we could do is then save it. So we could do a save as. That will save the entire project. Okay, and let's put it in my folder. Let's put it in Joe. And we'll call it ZAP. File name, Z-A-P. Okay, so there we've now saved it. Now what we have to do is we have to export the project for live. So we could either export just the one page that we just created here, or we can export the entire project. Normally when you're creating titles, you'll want to export the whole thing. In other words, you'll start with, say, an old file that you created earlier. You'll change, who's involved in it, and then you'll save the thing out. I guess one more thing that we might want to do is let's change the style. We didn't hit style, so we could do that. Okay, now we've got a different style. We could do that. We can do that. There's all these predefined styles. Okay, and you can create your own styles if you want. I generally don't use them very much, but they are available. Okay, so and let's change. So this one's obviously different. We'll make her, look like that. Okay, so that's what Pam's thing now looks like. So we've changed a couple of these things. We can then save the project again. Now, the problem that we have with saving this thing is this is a single user system, which means that the next person who comes along is going to start working on your titles. And if you want to keep your titles for the future and you save them once, your file name is still active, which means the next person who saves your file just overwrote all your stuff and you lost all your hard work. So the game is that you can do a second save and save it as a file, and we'll just call it dummy. Now, if we do a save, now the file that I wanted, okay, is called zap. The file that I don't care about is dummy. And so at this point, my file zap is safe because anybody who overwrites the file is going to overwrite dummy rather than zap. So just remember, saving twice avoids that little catastrophe. Now, the next thing we have to do up here is to export the project. Now, we could only export these 2 pages if we wanted to, but let's export the whole project. It gives you a replace or append. Append will add to the existing list of slides that are there. Replace will replace them all, and I'm just going to say replace. And now the next step is a little bit tedious. We can go back into live production, okay, and now we go to text, and what we can do is select all of these. Just make a box that covers them all, and we will remove them. Now, this is a little tedious. You have to go up and individually load the pages. There may be a way to do this. I haven't figured out what it is yet, where we can get them all to come in. But generally you don't have all that many of these titles. Okay, 8, 9. Okay, so we got them all. Now what we can do is we can go take a look at them. And this is a step. It has been, in the past I have seen files be corrupted. And if you have a corrupted titles file, it will lock up the system. Okay, there is one way to crack, well, there's more than one way. Another way is to trip on the power cord. Another way is to push your knee against the button on the power button and stuff like that. But for the most part, the only way to crash this system is, well, you can do it if you run out of disk space. That'll crash it. But The main way is if you have a corrupt file. So the thing is to take your things and go through all of them. If they all show up on the screen without a problem, you're safe. Okay, you don't have a corrupted file. So that's good. Now, so what we have at this point is a bunch of, this is your downstream keyer. I said we would talk about this a little more. The overlay can either come in from an external source, okay, or you can use either DDR1 or DDR2. That's how I did the automated titles that we looked at earlier. Or you can come from text. Okay, whatever is in this text thing can be used. Now DDR1 and 2 allow you to do video as an overlay. Text is just stills. Okay, so we now have it on the screen. So let's turn it off. And what we will do is, instead of using this animated opening, what we'll do is we will go get some music. So we're going to add some music. Let's, I think I have music with fade. Yeah, let's add that one. Okay, so I'll get rid of these for the moment. So what we have is music with fade. Okay, so these are long. Actually, let's not do this. Let's not do this one. Okay, so we'll remove this. Let's go get another one because it's shorter. And we want DGAB. Okay, so this was the opening to a gardening show that we did. Maggie Pet playing the ukulele. But it's only 16 seconds long, and so we'll use that. Okay, and what I have, let's do the actual thing for here. So I will load. We've already saved this, so I will load the stuff from the Gardening and Beyond. We should have Teresa.cg. I don't know. Let's whatever the Titus. Okay, so we now have these. So let's export the project for live, and we will replace it. Okay, and then we will load our original one. I guess left it in Joe, and we'll load dummy. Okay, and we'll just export this one page that we made. So we will export page for live, and we'll append it. Okay, so go back to live production, and now in the text we're going to have to remove these. Okay, and we will add to list. There's our one that we just did, but these are our add to list 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so what we have is, and let's take a look at them. So we'll move this one to the end. But we start out with, this is just the gardening show, the host, guest, growing it. Then we have the stuff below. Okay. Then we have closing titles. And we have this one for Pam. Okay. So what we'll do is we will do an opening. This is setting up the system and running it. So record and stream. We'll put it to play. We'll call this play. Okay. So in order to do the overall setting the thing up, we will get the timer lined up so that we're right on the little thing. We'll go to DDR and make sure that's reset on 1, and we'll line up here. Then what we'll do is get ourselves to this, put us on a black background with the master shot being the second one that we're going to go to. So what's going to happen is I'm going to start these two together so that the timer and the two fingers. So we're going to start the recording, play the music, fade the title on. Okay, get the next title, get the next title, get the next title, bring our people in behind, okay, and then fade it away as the music goes away, and now our person starts talking. So I then go get, it's going to be our host who's going to do an intro. So I've got a master shot on there right now, and as she's talking, I auto her in. Okay. So now she's delivering her little opening monologue, and then what will happen is she'll say hi to the guest, and I will bring the two of them back, and then they'll talk for a second, and she'll ask a question, and the guest will start answering, and I will auto to the other, I did to the other shot, but I really wanted to go to the guest, so I can put the guest on. Now, we just did an intro. We played music. It's recording right now. The timer is timing down. Let's say that this one here, the record has got to start. Okay, so generally when you start your opening like that, you click and then you do your opening. Okay, if either one of them fails to go, you say, "Oops, sorry, I got a bust," and they reset and do it again. Okay, so you just bring everything back to where it was and start it again. If you're doing a live show, you can't do that because it's already broadcasting. So if you mess up, you're just going to have to pick up from where you are. But let's say you got this recording, which is the more important of them, but you missed starting the timer. Well, what you can do is you can stop the timer, set it to a shorter amount. So in other words, it started out at say 58:15 on this one, and let's say at 4 minutes I want to come in, so we would set it to 54:15, and as soon as this hits 4 minutes, I start the timer again. And that allows me to recover from the fact that I didn't click the timer. If you're doing if the show's not live, just get on there. Sorry about that, folks, but I messed up the beginning, so we'll just do it again. Okay? Give me a couple seconds. I'll reset everything, and then we'll do quiet on the set again. Okay? That's the game. If you're on a live program, you can't do that. So you have to fix the timer and hope that this is recording. But the game that you have is you look either here, on here, or you look either here. And you're following the thing. And if it is not what you expect to see, fix it. It's that simple. Okay? So the switching, generally on a program you have 30 seconds of panic at the beginning as you do the credits, an hour of boredom while you're going through the show, because the only thing you're going to do is pick the next camera and auto it in. Pick the next camera, auto it in. Somebody says, "Oh, well, we have this slide of something." And you say, "Okay, so DDR2, we have the slide," and auto it in. And they're going to talk about, "Oh, this is the view of Eugene from Skinner's Butte," and blah, blah, blah. It's something, and then they say, "Next program," or "Next slide," and you put that up. And next slide, you put that up, okay? Or a piece of video, and you just go through it. So you can add, stills and the like to it. So the switching part is boredom. You're a little bit of panic at the beginning and at the end. Generally, if you're pretty good about beginnings, you can mute your people ahead of time, because often they'll just giggle through the beginning of it, and you want to remove that sound. But as you're going out, one of the last things to do, the person says, "See you next time, goodbye." Mute them, then start playing your music, okay, and get yourself out. So we could do an exit in a minute, but let's go to the point where we have, for example, the name of the person. So Let's say that we're now back to here, and we've got the host, and we can let's see, there's Lee, and so we can fade her thing on, okay, and fade it off, and then we've got the guest is sitting there, and we can go get his title and fade it on and fade it off. Then there's maybe a call-in number. We can fade it on across, fade it off. But it's just basically, you just look here, and is it right? Is it what I want at that point? And if it's not, don't panic, just make it look like it's supposed to look. Oh, I got the wrong camera on, okay? So I just select the camera that I really want, and I fade it there. Oh, I don't have the title on, okay? Let me just put the hotline number back up, okay? And then fade it off. Let's see, so that's about it. You think anything else?
Maybe the process of saving it to get it to the air.
Oh, well yeah, we have to finish closing out our show.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so let's see. We could do a closing credit thing. We can, so let's do a close on this thing. So what I would then do is to move, to the slide that we're here. We probably have the host doing some kind of a monologue. Thank you all for being here, and this was all another episode, and we'll see you next week, and blah blah blah. And they shut up, okay? And you hit them with the music. You fade the title on. Maybe grab the next one. Put the box. I did something I should have done, which is I should put the background and then auto it. Okay, it looks a little bit better, and then we go through our titles, and we're done from there. Okay, let me do an exit cleanly without messing up by talking. Okay, so what we want is to have the person you're going out with. We want to have the title set up here, and we want to not take it, and let's see there. So this would be, so we put the black background in as the next one, and now what we're doing is we're on our way out. They just finished saying, you start your music, you fade your title on, you auto it to black, get your next title, get your next title, get your next title, get your next title, okay, and then fade it off and stop your recording. You're done. Okay, you've done an exit without messing it up. So the whole point of using the switcher is that you edit on the fly while you're recording your program. All the editing that you need to do is being done along the way, and when you're done with it, the program's in the can. So we've now finished up. It's time to go. Maybe if you've got programs that are not time sensitive, you can do 2 or 3 of them on a day. So you go get your next guest and bring them in. A lot of people beginning, an hour and a half, an hour between shows is probably enough time. With a little more experience, you'd cut that down to 15 minutes, get them in, get them out, and give you a little bit more time out. Let's see. Now, getting the stuff off the system. So we've got something in the can, so we can click here on the X in the corner up here, and what would you like to do? Go to Administration. Okay, so from here we can look, and I think I put that in the TAS. Was it the TAS folder? Must have been TTLC. Yeah, here it is. Here's our thing. Play 02, which we can proceed to play on the system. So there's our opening. since there's nobody there, it's not very interesting until we get to the end, which is, there we go. Okay, so that's the file. What we would do is we would copy it onto a disk drive. Remember at the beginning I told you there was the dock sitting over there and you put a disk drive in it. Now the one thing that's annoying is that it won't recognize the disk unless you start the system. So if we haven't put a disk drive in, we would have to shut the computer off, put the disk drive in, and then turn it back on, and it will recognize the drive, and you can then copy the file. You know, open a second window with your destination in. So we'd have another disk drive show up here, and then you just simply take this file and copy it onto the other disk drive. From there, you bring it upstairs, and you have to do the conversion thing that we talked about earlier as we were upstairs, using either iSkySoft, or you can bring it into Final Cut or Premiere if you want to do some editing stuff. For example, the live shows that I do, to put them on the channel, we put a thing at the bottom of it that says this is a rebroadcast, so that people don't call in, and that's, and then you play it out from Final Cut. But your basic thing is you come in, you set up your lights, you set up your set, you deal with the sound. You bring out your by putting out the rug and the office dividers, but we'll bring out the camera and the floor monitor and timer ahead of time. So the timer that we were watching in here is actually playing on that screen out there. Set up your cameras, set up your mics, get your people in, do a sound check, set the levels so that you're not getting any, as they're talking, you're not getting any red. The mixer's pretty simple, so let's talk about that for just a second. You're concerned about what's going on the monitors, the little things that were up here before, but this mixer, there's 8 channels, which correspond to the 8 microphone drops that are underneath the floor monitor. We've got stuff on number 1 and number 2, and what you would do is set the master to -10 dB. Okay, pull these all the way down, push this one up to 0, right there, and then there's this one should be vertical, these should be all the way down, and these should be vertical. Okay? This is your pan, which allows you to make it stereo. So in other words, you could make it a little bit loud. Let's say the guest, you make it a little bit louder, and then the host, you can make a little bit louder on that side. So in other words, the guest will sort of appear to that side, and there'll be a little bit of stereo effect in there. Okay, but this knob right here is your trim. So what you do is while they're talking, you adjust this so that you've got, this is the one you're working on right here, okay? And then when you're done with that, pull them down, put the next one up to 0, okay? And adjust that until you get so that they're doing a little bit of light blue, okay, but no red, okay? And then, if you have more, move the next one up and trim this one. Okay, same thing. You're watching the screen over there. Okay, then when you've got them all set, where the trims are set, now what you do is you just bring them all to 0 dB, and you're balanced. I think that's pretty much it. So we want to call it quits for today.